Hey YouTube, this is Scaly Substance. You might have seen the first part to this video already, and now I'm going to do my best explaining why I'm an apostate in more detail. Before I do so, however, I'd like to make a quick shout out to Candle Surgeon the Apostate. Dude, I applaud you for your courage to take a public stand against the Watchtower, like I'm trying to do now. You make great videos and very valid points. Not very many people, or ex-Jehovah's Witnesses for that matter, really have the balls to do that. So yes, your unmistakable awesomeness is surely recognized, trust me. Now, some of you may be wondering, what exactly is an apostate? To put it simply, it's someone who leaves a certain religion behind and speaks out against it, usually for unselfish reasons. So, I'd like to start out this video by explaining what it's like growing up as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. My mother has been affiliated with the religion ever since she married my dad, and since she's pretty much the head of the family, she did her best to teach me everything she could. She took me into the Kingdom Hall 3 times a week. She made sure that I was as active as possible in the field ministry, which is when you go door to door attempting to preach the good news, as well as sermons, or talks as they're called by Jehovah's Witnesses. I was also strongly encouraged to read the Witness Bible, the new translation of the Holy Scriptures. Now, she's a very loving mother in person. Don't get me wrong, she's always been that way. But she's also a bit unstable, and due to personal and psychological problems, she tended to be verbally and even physically abusive towards me while I was growing up, so that was fun. But anyway, I've always had a social awkwardness that I can't really explain. It may or may not have something to do with autism. But I somehow made it into the unbaptized publisher clique. But after certain things were said and done, which I'll explain another time, I was unknowingly removed from that position until the elders publicly announced it to the congregation at the last second. And I was pretty much shunned and isolated, even more embarrassed. Now, when I was around, I think 14 years old, I officially rebelled. My mother just couldn't believe it, and that caused a lot of problems between us. But I still love her, and she still loves me, because we're Ohana, and Ohana means family. Now, there are several reasons why I decided to rebel and leave the religion of Jehovah behind. The first and main is something that only people outside the box can truly see or at least understand. Mind control. I mentioned this before. The governing body, also known as the Faithful and Discreet Slave, which is the shady organization that rules over its religious followers, have many rules and regulations that personally I consider ridiculous as fuck. Jehovah's Witnesses are taught to be closed-minded and isolated from the outside world, taught to be this way even as children, because they believe that they are the true Christians and that everybody else is going to die when Armageddon comes around. In fact, children being raised up as witnesses are encouraged to read a certain children's book called My Book of Bible Stories. And trust me, I'm very familiar with that book. It's filled with violent and disturbing imagery. Well, not surprising, since most of the literature published by the Watchtower Society is filled with brainwashing material anyway. The second reason why I left is because I did my own research and I realized that there are way too many contradictions in the Bible and that hypocrisy runs rampant in the religion itself. Scientific evidence, there we go, I can actually talk, is a close friend of mine, but it ain't no friend of faith alone. And that's the truth. Also, if God was truly an all-loving and peaceful, well, God, then why all the instructed violence in the past, as well as in the future, like Armageddon, say? Furthermore, one would have to agree that there is a pretty big difference between modern-day Jehovah's Witnesses and their long-lost founders, the Russellites. Reason number 3, sexual orientation and practices. If you're one of Jehovah's Witnesses, homosexuality and bisexuality are prohibited. Pornography, masturbation, oral and anal sex of any kind are strongly looked down upon. Well, guess what? I'm bi. And personally, I enjoy all 4 activities. Thank you very much. So they can go fuck themselves. Or not, technically. Number 4, the paranormal. It's considered demonic, spiritistic, and unclean. I myself have a keen interest in extraterrestrials, extra-dimensional beings, and quantum physics. Always have, always will. 5, music and entertainment. Heavy metal and R-rated films are also looked down upon by the Watchtower, but I have no problem with either. If I like it, and that's that. No one has the right to tell me otherwise, in my opinion. Last but not least, and probably one of the most controversial topics, drugs. I'm a firm advocate of marijuana, and let's just leave it at that for now, because that could easily turn into a very long conversation, and once again, I have limited time. So yeah, that's basically it for now. Just a friendly word of advice. If I were you, I'd look into better things, because better things are out there. This is Scaly Substance, signing out.